Hello, everyone. By now I've had a little time to reflect on the recent Heart of Darkness tour, all those back-to-back performances on precious little sleep, loading up heavy gear into a van in 4-inch heels and fishnet stockings in the dead of winter, warming up for sound checks in ice-cold venue toilets.
What are you doing in here?
I'm in a toilet trying to warm up for my sound check. Followed by increasingly questionable attempts to keep myself functioning, including downing shots of sauerkraut juice for the vitamin C content. Somewhere in the blur of all that, I stepped quietly over a threshold into a new level of faith in myself. At the start of the tour, there were quite a few doubts that kept stalking me. Not about the music, although the transition from the studio to the stage was quite abrupt and the ink was still wet on quite a few of the arrangements. But I knew I could refine those as the tour progressed, so that was just a matter of accepting imperfection, which is definitely not my superpower. But the real question haunting me was whether I could physically sustain the cumulative demands of the tour, night after night, all the travelling, very little sleep, and the kind of food that only seems to come in shades of beige after about 2 o'clock in the morning. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, the constant proximity to people. And as someone who tends to process things in solitude inwardly, the absence of space and the absence of silence is my definition of hell, usually. I didn't let myself dwell on these things too much, but they kept flickering at the peripheral of my consciousness, sort of like unsettled ghosts. Performing as a solo act, there's nowhere to hide when I'm on stage. No band to help carry the weight, to blend into. No production on a backing track to help fill the space. Just the songs stripped back to their raw elements, my voice, the lyrics, and one instrument, either guitar or piano. And it makes me feel quite vulnerable. So the question inevitably creeps in, is this enough? Am I enough? And of course, there's always a possibility that it just may not connect with anyone in that room. And there's no escape from that. I'm just standing there with my soul exposed. So there's really only one option, and that's to own it, to stand with conviction, regardless of how it's received. And even more difficult for me is to continue to stand with that same conviction and faith, even when the performance isn't perfect. All of those doubts came with me on tour, but something began to shift at the Victoria. It was a bikers club in Colville. The sound engineer that night wasn't the usual one. He'd been pulled in the last minute, and he made it very clear he did not want to be there. Sound checks were rushed, and when it came to mine, he lost his patience altogether, got on the mic and simply announced me as the first act. When I protested, explaining the obvious, that I still needed to sound check, he just shouted back, "What, just you?" So I just immediately quipped, "Am I not enough for you?" I was still slightly thrown off balance, but I could tell the audience was on my side when I started my set. I clearly remember playing The Envy Machine, which is a new song, and I'm hoping to record that very soon.
Just another ghost in the envy machine. I boast, therefore I am.
But it has a very mechanistic, machine-like rhythm, and it's difficult to play accurately without looking, and even harder to sing over. I could hear it wasn't quite right. I was missing out strings while I was playing, and thanks to the begrudging sound engineer, the guitar sound was so harsh it was enough to make me wince physically. So I looked up, half expecting to see everyone recoiling and moving away from the stage. But no one flinched. They stayed with me. In fact, I'm quite certain there was a chap at the front keeping time for me, tapping his foot, almost unconsciously helping me hold it together. And that's when something clicked for me. There was such a genuine connection that no matter how flawed the execution might have been, they were engaged by my performance. So clearly, the connection didn't depend on being perfect. It depended on being present. the most profound experience came from the penultimate show, which was in Swansea in Wales. I just finished my sound check and I was vaguely aware of people starting to stream in to the venue, and I was going through a mental checklist for my set when I heard this excited voice shout, "There she is!" And I saw a couple in front of me, but I didn't recognize them, so I instinctively glanced behind me to see who they were talking about. But there was no one there. They were talking about me. They rushed over and introduced themselves, and it turned out they were fans and asked me to sign something. They looked genuinely awestruck, and I remember feeling slightly disoriented because I hadn't even performed yet. And in that moment, I understood that to them, I was the embodiment of my art. And when I stepped on stage, they were right at the front, beaming up at me the entire time, and I couldn't help but smile back. And what followed, of course, was the best performance of the tour for me. It was effortless, a completely different level of performance, presence, ease, and flow. I had this strange sense that I couldn't make a mistake if I tried, and even more, that it wouldn't matter even if I did. Reflecting on the tour, I can see that it has served as quite a profound kind of initiation for me, in more ways than I think I've fully processed yet, but enough to mark in a very significant way, hence my tour tattoo. And what I now know for certain is this, that I can not only withstand the rigors of touring, but as one of the other artists pointed out, I actually seem to be wired for it. And perhaps more importantly, I also know for certain that the key to connecting with an audience and giving a great performance is not perfect execution, but presence, conviction, and embodiment. And a stripped back solo set actually highlights those things. So I needn't have worried that it wouldn't be enough, that I wouldn't be enough. Thank you so much, as always, for being here with me. It means more than I can really articulate to be able to share not just the music, but also the inner journey behind it, the meaning, the mess, and the milestones. So I'll be in touch very soon with an update about what's unfolding behind the scenes in the Embosphere. So in the meantime, Godspeed the wind beneath all of your wings, and I'll speak to you very soon.